Beans, the magical fruit. The more you eat, the more you...
And that's why you're the other Ryan.
Buying or selling farmland? Click their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
News time is 7 minutes after the 8 o'clock hour on this Monday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 8 o'clock newscast streaming to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Expansion of rural broadband has been on full display in small central Illinois communities the last few years, and at last month's DeWitt County Board meeting, the board heard about more opportunities locally. Frontier has been one of the top internet providers in central Illinois until recently. Mike Nelson from Frontier talks about how Frontier has fallen behind on fiber optic broadband service in central Illinois and is on a mission to change that.
Frontier is entered the fiber world 4 years ago. We recently built Clinton with fiber. We had a huge transformation with our company 4 years ago, where we kicked out our board of directors, kicked out our leadership, went through a total restructuring, and the only way we could survive wasn't on 50, 60-year-old copper plant that we had. Every office that we have in your county is fiber fed, but last mile, we were relying on copper. So got new leadership in. They decided we're going to discontinue copper by the year 2029, 2030. Our goal was to start building out the main wire centers in counties throughout the state of Illinois. A lot of county seats, and Clinton was on board this year. We had a successful fiber build. We have a few more hubs to build in Clinton, and earlier in the current administration, they came up with a broadband expansion of $42.3 billion.
Nelson explains Frontier is seeking to take advantage of funding from the government to upgrade its infrastructure. As it takes that on locally, they approached the county board about working with the county to apply for those dollars.
We have a great service going right now. We're building Bloomington Normal. It took us about 7 months to build Clinton. Bloomington Normal is going to take us 2 years, just because we have old copper plant. We own a lot of the underground, which is great. That's going to expedite that process, but we're building Normal out right now. We want to work on behalf of the county, talk to you about applying for the BEAD grants, the Broadband Equity Access Deployment funds that are out there right now, that are funneled through the state broadband office, Connect Illinois. So this is BEAD. It's called Connect Illinois Round 3. They're getting approvals from the National Telecommunications Association right now.
Nelson touts the service and price points offered by Frontier and also touts the growth of Frontier and its services in central Illinois. The DeWitt County Museum in C.H. Moore Homestead continues its efforts to restore historical photos. Joey Long, director of the museum in Homestead, reminds the Picture Perfect project is an effort to restore historical photos of DeWitt County that have degraded over time.
The C.H. Moore Homestead DeWitt County Museum collection includes many photographs that depict DeWitt County's history and heritage. Faces, places, events, businesses, schools, residences, landmarks. And many of these original images that we have in the collection are the only one of its kind in existence. However, due to the passage of time, some of these images have begun to fade and or deteriorate. So this Picture Perfect project will allow us to stabilize and preserve the originals, but at the same time be able to display these images for all to see. So what we are doing is we are taking the original images and then having a copy of that image made.
If you want to learn more about the project, visit chmorehomestead.org or contact the museum at 935-6066. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties, the leader in fire, water, and mold restoration, is once again the exclusive sponsor of the WHOW Clinton Maroon Player of the Game, announced at the end of every Maroon sports broadcast. Our WHOW announcing staff will select that night's WHOW ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties Clinton Maroon Player of the Game. Their play will be highlighted in each WHOW Maroon postgame broadcast, and that player receives a certificate from WHOW and ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties. Find out the many services ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties offers by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Or 96.
With SRN Sports, I'm Jeremy House. In the NFL, Sam Darnold shakes off a slow start by throwing for 3 touchdowns in the second half of the Minnesota Vikings' 21-13 victory against the Indianapolis Colts.
Trailing 7-0 in the third quarter, Jordan Addison and Jalen Naylor caught TD passes from Darnold later in the period. Darnold all but secured the win by finding Josh Oliver for a 14-yard score with 2:05 remaining. Darnold passed for 290 yards, had 3 turnovers, and was sacked 4 times. Kenny Moore scored the Colts' lone TD on a 38-yard fumble return in the first quarter.
That's correspondent Dave Ferry reporting. Other winners included Atlanta, Baltimore, Buffalo, Carolina, Cincinnati, the LA Chargers, Tennessee, Washington, Arizona, Detroit, the LA Rams, and Philadelphia. Off the field, the slumping Las Vegas Raiders have fired offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. This is SRN Sports. In the NBA, winners included Detroit, Atlanta, and Dallas. In the NHL, the New York Rangers knock off their hated rivals.
Chris Kreider scored a first-period shorthanded goal, and the Rangers were on their way to a 5-2 win over the Islanders. Igor Shesterkin continued his strong play in goal with 35 saves. Offensively, the Rangers got 2 goals from Arturi Panarin and 3 assists from Mika Zibanejad. The Rangers are now 8-2-1. The Isles have dropped 4 of 5. They were 0 for 5 on the power play.
That's correspondent Mike Mancuso reporting. Other winners were Winnipeg, Carolina, Boston, Minnesota, Chicago, and Edmonton. Major League Baseball, San Francisco third baseman Matt Chapman won his 5th Gold Glove. Kansas City shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. was among 14 first-time winners of baseball's most famous fielding honor. This is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. In a game heard on WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com, Monticello scored on its final 2 possessions of the first half and scored to start the second half as they took control in a 49-20 win over DeCoin in the first round of the Class 3A high school football playoffs Saturday afternoon in Monticello. Ike Young opened the game with a 64-yard touchdown run on the first play from scrimmage, but each team missed opportunities with good field position, and offense came at a premium until the Indians scored with 4:31 to play in the second quarter to tie the game at 7. Monticello answered with a scoring drive that was capped by Young finding Carter Foran from 6 yards out to put the Sages up 14-7 with 1:56 left in the first half. The Indians went 3 and out on its next possession with 2 incomplete passes that stopped the clock and gave Monticello plenty of time to score. A face mask penalty on the punt return set Monticello up at the 44-yard line, and 3 plays later, Young hit Foran again on a post route for a 28-yard touchdown that put the Sages ahead 21-7 with 35 seconds left in the half, their lead going into the intermission. Out of the second half, another drive stalled for DeCoin, and Monticello got the ball back. The Sages capitalized and ran in another touchdown. Young ran in another touchdown, that is, from 34 yards out to go up 28-7. The Sages would put the game out of reach, answering a 49-yard touchdown run by DeCoin's Tristan Webb to make the score 35-13. Young scored on another quarterback run from 3 yards out. The senior quarterback, who is an Illinois baseball commit, accounted for 6 total touchdowns. He was 11 of 16 passing for 133 yards with 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He also ran 14 times for 163 yards and 3 scores. Foran eclipsed the 100-yard threshold again, catching 6 passes for 108 yards and 3 touchdowns. Young was the serve All-Pro of Piatt DeWitt Counties. Player of the game for DeCoin, junior quarterback Jonathan Brown had 19 carries for 115 yards with a touchdown, while Webb had 16 carries for 178 yards with 2 scores. The Indians ran for 319 yards but passed for only 40 with 2 turnovers. They end their season 6-4 overall. Monticello goes to 8-2 and will advance to take on Williamsville next Saturday. Game time has been set for 2 p.m. Here's Saturday's action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. Around the first round of the high school playoffs from this weekend, Class 1A scores: Toledo-Cumberland rolled Tuscola 28-6. Leroy toppled Aurora Christian 54-21. GCMS dispatched Salt Fork 38-7. Hardin-Calhoun toppled Central A&M 38-7. In the Class 2A playoffs, Arthur Lovington Atwood Hammond won a shootout with North Mac 54-32. Farmington blanked DMAC 21-0. It was Maroa Forsyth over Decatur St. Teresa 49-13. Warrensburg Latham got by Carmi White County 35-30. Tri-Valley down Bloomington Central Catholic 42-28. It was Seneca over El Paso Gridley 39-23. Vandalia took care of Sangamon Valley 41-21. Pana edged Shelbyville 21-18. In the Class 3A playoffs, Nashville beat Olympia 42-35. Tolono Unity got by Roxana 44-31. St. Joe Ogden blanked West Frankfort 48-0. Sullivan Okaw Valley toppled Mount Carmel 32-6. Eureka beat Piatone 29-22. Williamsville beat Carlinville 49-14, and Byron blasted Prairie Central 57-20. In the Class 4A playoffs, Waterloo edged to Taylorville 33-30. Normal U-High down Mantino 41-14. Mount Zion doubled up Carterville 42-21. Peoria Notre Dame upset Rochester 59-58. In Class 5A, Metamora beat Centralia 23-9. Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin edged Mahomet Seymour 24-21. Peoria toppled Country Club Hills 52-36, and Rochelle beat Aurora 42-7. Class 6A playoff action, Washington down Palos Heights 52-21. Chatham Glenwood beat Crete Monee 49-34. East St. Louis throttled Springfield 67-0. Normal West got by Chicago Simeon 20-15, and Bloomington rallied past Lamont 31-20. Finally, in Class 7A, Normal Community beat West Chicago 41-16. Former Illinois standout Kirby Joseph scored on a 27-yard interception return, and the Detroit Lions converted 2 fourth downs into touchdowns as they continued one of the best starts in franchise history, beating the Green Bay Packers 24-14 on a rainy and windy Sunday in Green Bay. Jared Goff completed his first 11 passes and finished 18 for 22 for 145 yards with a touchdown. Detroit took the lead for good on the first play of the second quarter when Goff hit Amon-Ra St. Brown for a 3-yard touchdown on a 4th and goal. Jahmyr Gibbs capped the opening drive of the second half, rushing for a 15-yard touchdown on a 4th and 1 to extend the Lions' lead to 24-3. Green Bay's Jordan Love finished 23 of 39 for 273 yards with an interception a week after he left in the third quarter of a 30-27 win at Jacksonville with a groin strain. Jaden Reed had 5 catches for 113 yards, and Josh Jacobs rushed for 95 yards. The Packers outgained the Lions 411-261, but wasted several opportunities. Green Bay drove inside Detroit's 35-yard line on 3 possessions without scoring. The Packers' 4 trips to the red zone resulted in 1 touchdown and 2 field goals. The game turned late in the second quarter when Detroit starting safeties playing featured roles. Green Bay was trailing 7-3 when Branch was ejected for a helmet-to-helmet hit on Packers receiver Bo Melton during a pass incompletion near Green Bay's sideline. He also drew an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for gesturing to the Lambeau Field crowd, giving the Packers a first down at the Detroit 32 rather than face 3rd and 20 from their own 38. But the Packers failed to capitalize on the situation. Their drive ended with Brandon McManus sending a 46-yard field goal attempt wide to the left. Detroit marched down the field on its next series and extended its lead to 10-3 on Jake Bates' 27-yard field goal. Green Bay got the ball back with less than a minute left in the half. Facing 2nd and 2 from the Green Bay 38, Love rolled right under pressure. His pass intended for Josh Jacobs went directly to Joseph, who caught it with arms outstretched and raced down the Lions sideline to the end zone. His pick six was his 6th interception of the season, tying Green Bay's Xavier McKinney for the NFL lead. He's picked off a pass in 5 of Detroit's last 6 games and became the first safety to intercept at least 14 passes through his first 3 seasons since Hall of Famer Ed Reed did it from 2003 to 2004. Joseph has 4 interceptions against the Packers. Green Bay opened the game with a 14-play drive that lasted nearly 8 minutes, but settled for a McManus 30-yard field goal. Then the Lions scored the next 24 points to take control. Packers linebacker Colby Wooden and Lions linebacker Jalen Reeves-Maben suffered shoulder injuries. The Packers played without cornerback Jerry Alexander, safety Sean Evans, and center Josh Myers. After a bye, the Packers are at Chicago November the 17th. Third-string running back Amari DiMercato dashed for a game-changing 53-yard touchdown. James Conner had 107 yards on the ground, and the surging Cardinals put together a dominant 29-9 victory over the Bears on Sunday. The Cardinals have won 3 in a row for the first time in 3 seasons. It's another tough loss for the 4-4 Bears, who have dropped 2 straight. They lost to Washington 18-15 last week on a Hail Mary and were burned once again as the clock was winding down against the Cardinals, though this lapse came in the final seconds of the first half. Chicago rookie quarterback Caleb Williams was sacked 6 times, completing 22 of 41 passes for 217 yards. The Bears had just 241 yards in total. Williams limped off the field late in the game with an ankle injury, though Coach Matt Eberflus and the quarterback did not believe it was a serious problem. DiMercado's stunning score with 4 seconds remaining gave Arizona a 21-9 halftime lead. The Cardinals started the drive with 26 seconds remaining following Chicago's field goal. Kyler Murray completed a few short passes before DiMercado darted through the middle of the defense and then sprinted down the right sideline for the touchdown, turning a tight game into a much more comfortable advantage. His run was one of 2 back-breaking mistakes for Chicago's defense late in the second quarter. The Cardinals were leading just 7-6 with 3:40 remaining in the first half and looked as if they were going to have to settle for a field goal, but Chicago's Gervon Dexter Sr. was flagged for trying to use a defender as leverage to leap into the air and block a kick. That gave Arizona a fresh set of downs, and the Cardinals cashed in with Trey Benson's 1-yard touchdown run just 3 plays later. The Cardinals controlled the second half, extending the lead to 27-9 on Chad Ryland's 2 field goals, one from 55 yards. Arizona linebacker Zaven Collins had 2 of the team's 6 sacks, and Kyler Murray went 13 of 20 for 154 yards. The Bears did not find the end zone all afternoon. Defensive lineman Montez Sweat and defensive back Kyler Gordon were among the team's 7 inactives. Cornerback Terrell Smith left the game in the first half and did not return. Defensive lineman Andrew Billings left in the second half and did not return. The Bears will host New England on Sunday. Cody Bellinger has picked up his $27.5 million player option with the Chicago Cubs, answering a major offseason question for the team. Bellinger hit .266 with 18 homers and 78 RBIs in 130 games last season. He was on the injured list from April 24th to May 7th with a right rib fracture. He drove in 33 runs in his last 39 games of the season, but Chicago finished with an 83-79 record and missed out on the playoffs for the fourth straight year. Meanwhile, the Cubs also declined Drew Smyly's $10 million mutual option in favor of a $2.5 million buyout, making the lefty a free agent. Smyly was 4-8 with a 3.84 ERA in 50 appearances this year. Connor Bedard had 3 assists. Tuevo Teravainen had got his first goal in 10 games as the Blackhawks picked up their second straight win in Southern California, beating the Anaheim Ducks 4-2 Sunday night. Isaac Phillips, Ryan Donato, and Seth Jones scored for the Blackhawks, who have won 3 of 4. Taylor Hall had 2 assists, and Arvid Soderblom stopped 37 shots in his first win of the season. It was the 11th career multi-assist game for 19-year-old Bedard, tied with Bobby Hull for second most by a Blackhawks teenager. Patrick Kane has the most with 13. Bedard recorded his 16th career multi-point game, the third most by a Blackhawks teenager. Eddie Olczyk has 29 and Patrick Kane has 24, occupying the top 2 spots. The Blackhawks return home to face Detroit on Wednesday. Ryan Blaney celebrated his victory at Martinsville Speedway with a win that launched a NASCAR's defending champ into the title decision season finale. Meanwhile, Christopher Bell and William Byron waited awkwardly alongside their parked cars for a ruling from NASCAR on who would be the 4th and final driver in the winner-take-all decider at Phoenix. The issue was whether Bell had smashed into the wall on the final lap and rode along for momentum to give him the final pass he needed to move past Byron for the last spot in the championship. The move was similar to one used 2 years ago at Martinsville by Ross Chastain, dubbed the Hail Melon, and subsequently banned the ensuing offseason. Blaney was headed back to the championship finale for the right to defend his title against Team Penske teammate Joey Logano and Tyler Reddick of 2311 Racing. The 4th finalist just waited for what seemed an eternity for NASCAR. Bell riding the wall was ultimately deemed illegal, and Byron saved Hendrick Motorsports from a humiliating 3rd round of the playoffs. 3 Hendrick drivers were vying for the 4 spots in the final one, and only Byron qualified, and only because Bell was deemed to have committed a safety violation. The field will be represented Sunday by a pair of Ford drivers, a Toyota, and by the Chevrolet from Hendrick. The title will go to the highest finishing driver between Blaney, Byron, Logano, and Reddick. Get sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Paul Scarron, CEO of Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton. With October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, our state-of-the-art 3D mammo machine can help detect early cancer. Find out details by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Raimi Miller from Run Deep Coaching. Take your power back. I do holistic personal and business coaching. My service is virtual, so we can visit no matter where you are. Find out more by clicking my icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. That's DeWittDailyNews.com.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. The presidential candidates are scrambling to capture the support of whatever undecided voters remain a day ahead of the election day. Former President Trump in Macon, Georgia last night urging voters to fire his Democratic opponent Kamala Harris. Harris insisting that she is optimistic ahead of Election Day. Today, Pennsylvania will be the focus of her campaign efforts. Parts of Oklahoma are on guard for the possibility of more bad weather. At least 11 people were injured yesterday when powerful storms ripped the roofs off buildings, tossed cars about, and left tens of thousands of homes and businesses without power.